everybody. How's it going? I think I jumped the gun a little bit on that one. How are we doing, everybody? Are we good? Are we good? I see you all have started voting on the poll in the chat. We have plenty to talk about today, whether it be the winner, Denny Hamlin, whether it be Ryan Blaney versus Kyle Larson, whether it be the chaotic start to the race, whether it be all of the stuff surrounding the playoffs and all of that. We'll look into all of it in a few moments, but I will also let you know we have the poll up. We have the poll up right now on the community tab, so be sure to look at that as well. But what did you think of the race? Give me a rating out of 10. Did you really like it? Did you not? I'm seeing 6 out of 10, 7, 8 out of 10, good race, 11 out of 10. That's pretty funny. 7.11. Let's see. 5, 0, 7.11, 7, 7.11. No, it's not. No, it's not what? A good day. It's a good day. 7, 8, 7, 7, 11, 1, 2, 8, 5, 7.5, 6. Dirty air is bad. 7, 7.5, 11, 8, 7.2, 11. I'm trying to catch as many of them as possible. 7 of 11, 7, 11. I like that. 6, 8 out of 10 from a Hamlin fan. 4.75, 7, 7, 8, 7, 6.5, 8. Couldn't pass it all. 0 out of 10, partially, but I think you're overreacting a little. 7, 8, 9. In general, people are pretty positive with this, and we'll talk all about that in a moment. But let's jump on into. I see they're showing the points on the bottom of the screen, but they won't put the graphic up. But apparently, it's important enough that they have to make the whole, sport to bend to their whim on it. But whatever. This was the Enjoy Illinois 300. This race was 240 laps long, 3 hours, 3 minutes, 10 seconds, 10 cautions, 452 laps, 15 lead changes. Denny Hamlin, your winner, with his 59th career win, 75 laps led, in a race that I don't know if he had the best car, but he executed the best. And ultimately, that's what matters with the way that the car is, the way that the strategy are, the way that Gateway in general is. He wins by 1.62 seconds over Chase Briscoe, then Chase Elliott in third, Ryan Blaney fourth, Joey Logano in fifth. John Hunter Nemechek, another solid run again for JHN, sixth, Bell seventh, Bubba eighth after leading 73 laps today. Looked like he could have won until a bad restart and just things not going his way. Then Busher and Ty Gibbs, the top 10. William Byron, 11th, 12th. Kyle Larson, who led 52 today, probably had the best car. Nothing really went his way, and some of that luck was made on his own. Priest in 13th, 14th, McDowell, 15th, Hocevar. 16th is Reddick. Then you got Keselowski, Austin Dillon, Austin Cindric, and Stenhouse, the top 20. Jones, Kyle Busch, Allmendinger, Chastain, SVG, the top 25. Alex Bowman, 26th, must win for him. Then Cole Custer in the 27th spot. 28th is Justin Haley. 29th, Cody Ware. Those are your lead lap cars. One lap down are Noah Gragson, Riley Herbst, Todd Gilliland, and Zane Smith. That's 30th through 33rd. Out of the race, Ty Dillon, 34th. Daniel Suarez, 35th. 36th, Josh Berry. Again, an awful, awful, awful day. Finishing order will be on the bottom right there. All in all, I personally... I don't think this is maybe the best race ever, and Gateway is very similar to like a New Hampshire, a Phoenix. I don't think nearly as bad as either personally. I would probably say probably a 6 or 7. Like there were positives, but once you stopped having short runs and really had long runs and you really had equalized tires, everything like that, same tires we had at Iowa, not really the greatest. The leader had the greatest advantage, but these are things we kind of all knew coming into this race. Again, not really. I'm not expecting really much out of this kind of race. Um, you know, maybe it could have been like a little better, but this is about probably maximize. If you like this kind of, if you like the racing at Gateway, you're probably all right with today. If you're someone that doesn't, you probably didn't. I'm curious about those in the middle. But in general, like I'm kind of with a lot of you guys. I might not be on like that 7-8 level. Honestly, I'll probably lean more to 6. But I don't think it was necessarily like something that was, as bad as a lot of people are making it out to be. Maybe I'm just, getting soft on my ratings, maybe that's what it is. I don't really think so personally, but hey, maybe that's the case. They keep putting the playoff stuff like on the bottom, but they don't actually show a ton of it. But Denny Hamlin getting through this round, we kind of all knew that as long as he, didn't have some catastrophic kind of just, step on your own foot sort of day, they would get through. Kyle Larson, by the way, plus 60 at the moment. I believe he should get in as long as he finishes like 35th or better, no matter what next week. I would assume he will probably hit that mark. There's what's the best way I can put this? There's a lot when it comes to like the battle on that side of it that we can cover. I think I'm going to save that to later on, and we'll talk about the race itself, honestly. Again, this is to me what like every race to me is like the story of 3 races now, because you got the first stage, you got the second stage, you got the final stage. And the first stage, like I look back at it and looking at my notes, and it's kind of like, just a little chaotic start to it. It's almost like a stumble out of the gate kind of thing. Because you do have racing early on for the lead between Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, all of them. You have Kyle Busch spinning. You have Briscoe up there racing for it too. And then you have like the 9 and the 21 and that crash and all of that together before you finish off the stage. What I noticed, especially about the first part, and when you look at those who led in this race, it's the guys who have been the fastest for the most part heading into today. And you saw it from the get-go, the guys I listed off, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, who again has been off, but for Kyle Larson standards, like off is still being plus 60 points after 2 races. I don't think that's nearly as bad as a lot of people would say, but Briscoe has been red hot as of late, won his 3rd straight stage when you look back to the 2 races beforehand. And now they finally put the playoffs up there. And I'm going to take a picture of it on, this would be my on-air production meeting, so I can actually read through it and tell you guys where they're at. But Briscoe up there leading a bunch of laps. Blaney, another one that has been bad fast pretty much every race he's not crashed out of. And he finished up there. Logano, we know he's going to be a threat. Like, say what you will about Joey, he's going to be a threat as this thing goes on. Bubba Wallace has been red hot speed-wise since his win at Indianapolis, has been one of the fastest guys out there. He led a ton of laps today. And there were others that are kind of outliers. Ty Gibbs led a lap. Brad Keselowski pulled some strategy moves and all of that. But I think that's something you can kind of reflect on, is like, okay, there's definitely there's definitely a group of drivers and teams that I think are kind of rising more to the occasion and getting better as the year goes on. And we saw a lot of them do well today. Hendrick Motorsports. I want to say this about Hendrick Motorsports right now. I had no faith for them coming into this race. I thought coming into this race, they were going to be terrible. Just because of how they've run here in the past. I think last week was a bit of a wake-up call. It sounded like there was, I don't know if it was, kind of like people getting it together behind the scenes, meetings, whatever. But Chase Elliott, third place run, ran top 10 for a lot of the day. Kyle Larson led tons of laps today. Byron kind of lagged, and then Bowman, that team's just in general not really getting their shit together. But the 24, though, I mean, first stage finished fourth, and I will say too, it's hard. And I think this is what I was trying to kind of put into words too, on top of like the point stuff. It's hard to judge, I think, for me, who was actually good today. And not necessarily like there were some that were good, but just more through the day. There was so much with the strategy runs of it. There was so much on the tire side of it. So many cautions would come out that would flip the field. And the field flipped probably like 7 or 8 different times. It was insane to me to see how many times the field would flip over and over again. Because I mean, the people that are in the top 10 in the first stage, Briscoe, Larson, Hamlin, Byron, Blaney, Bubba, Bell, Ross, Zane Smith, and Chase Elliott. All right, 9 of the 10 were playoff guys. Second one, Bubba Wallace is up there. Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Larson, Bell, Austin Dillon, Hamlin, Elliott, John Hunter Nemechek, and Chastain. A lot of them the same, but a lot moving, up and down through that part of it. Zane Smith, I believe he finished 33rd today. He was up in the top 5 at a lot of points of this race. You had guys like Buescher, who really were nowhere to be found, top 10 at the end. John Hunter Nemechek, same kind of thing. You had others that ran, I'd say, fairly decent at times. They were in the back. He spun, but Kyle Busch back up in the top 10 for a lot of the race. He finishes outside the top 20. Reddick, 16th in this race. Brad Keselowski, I get it, the tires and all at the end, but 17th for him. So there was a lot when it came to the shuffling side of it. And the first stage, I think, was very emblematic of the direction it was going to go with that. We just kept seeing that for a lot of the day. Now, the second stage for me, for the most part, that was like the stage where everyone kind of just sort of took a deep breath, got it going, right? You had a lot of stuff happen in it, but I mean, you had the 19 locking it up into Suarez, getting into the wall a little bit. You had Ty Dillon go around at one point. You had, but you had about a 50 lap run where, for the most part, people kept it clean and green until Kyle Larson just biffed it into the corner. I mean, he was like probably 5 or 6 car lengths back and spins Ryan Blaney. Now, the two of them seemed to be very cordial after the race about it. They seemed like they were just sort of talking it out. I guarantee if Ryan Blaney doesn't finish 4th today and Kyle Larson doesn't finish behind him, I don't think it's going to be as just nice is the best word I can put for it. That's just the best way to put it. Is like, I don't think they'd be as nice if Blaney finished 21st, say, or 32nd. If this is, say, a race that he is finishing way back there, I think he gets up into Larson's face. I don't think a fight happens, but I think he gets up into his face. But the fact they were able to come back and the fact that you had that shuffling all day long saved, I think, the 5 from probably a more uncomfortable situation. I'll say on this, though, I don't know what the hell the 5 was doing. And Blue Jimmy is a Larson fan, saying couldn't pass Blaney, so he dumps him instead. I know it's kind of tongue in cheek. I think it was probably accidental, but it's still, I mean, we have, granted, it's not the quote, but we have the meme of the greatest driver in the world, and everyone brings that up. Like, everyone brings that up every time these things happen. But Kyle Larson has had so many. I don't think it's, not anymore. Okay. But Kyle Larson has so many of these just unforced errors. And it's not the first time he got into Blaney either. That's the crazy part. Just think back at Homestead a while ago. So, he has so many of these just times that he just gets in his own way. And I think that, again, at least through this round, they'll be fine, right? He'll be fine and he'll get through. I mean, even if he wasn't plus 60, he has Bristol ahead. I think there is like, as long as there's no new winner, he has to finish like 35th or better without any stage points. He'll be fine. Like, I will not only eat crow, I will like, I will have a crow on a plate to eat after the season. If Kyle Larson somehow, without a major points penalty, without a DQ, and without, God himself striking him down, I will eat crow on the November, was it, 2nd live stream after the season if he does not make it past there. I mean, it would be a monumental failure on everyone's part, and everything lining up perfectly. The planets aligned. Like, he'll be fine, and a lot of people have brought up at points, and I get it, where they're like, well, why should we complain about Larson, or why is it such a big deal if Larson is maybe not as good, but he's still getting past and he's just fine. Well, for me, and say what you want and say I glaze and all that, but I don't think that Kyle Larson doing this well and kind of excusing how off they've been. And I think last week to me was kind of big too, on them being off. And granted, they were good today, fast today, but things didn't go right for them to get up front. But putting all that aside, I don't think getting past the round of 16 or the round of 12 should be the bar we grade Kyle Larson on. I don't. Just like that's the same thing like when there's a talk about Allen and Chase. I don't think the bar to grade Chase Elliott is oh, well, he made the round of 8. Like, I think Chase Elliott is a championship caliber driver and should be viewed as such. And through the prism and lens that we have right now, not really there. And same thing with Denny Hamlin. It's the same thing now. I think now with Chase Briscoe, like I fully expect Briscoe to be competing for a championship at Phoenix at this point. I think that team is hitting it their stride at the right time. I think they've been bad fast all year. Ryan Blaney, I put into that department. So I think there's still going to be the talk, even though they were fast at a track that they're not usually fast. There's still going to be the talk, and I think rightfully so, that the 5, the 9, the 24, even I would say that they need to pick up the pace. I get things go wrong. I get cautions fall at the wrong time. But that they're going to have to still pick it up. I think the narrative is not dead. I think that their speed today, especially the 9 and the 5, is a strong, hit to the narrative. But it's not dead just yet. Looking at the rest of the race though, and credit again, I want to say it again, credit to Bubba Wallace for the speed that they've been bringing lately, and they have been bringing a lot of speed. Give them the credit they deserve. The 23 car today led the second most amount of laps at 73, finished 8th, should not have probably finished 8th. They probably should have finished top 5 if it wasn't for a bad restart and cautions not falling the right way. Because they had a restart, I believe, where is it? Because they did good on the first one. I think it was with 156 laps in. So like 84 laps to go in this race. He's leading the race and the car gets stuck in gear. Everything stacks up. He never gets back up there because it was difficult to pass. I don't think it was impossible to pass. I don't think this is I don't think this is even in the bottom half. If you take out like the intermediates of like the mile and a halves and such, I don't even think this is in the bottom half of races this year that have been hard to pass. But it still was difficult. It is this car, is this type of track, it is all of that. But that 23 car has been fast for weeks. I don't see them slowing down anytime soon. And points wise, they're in a great position right now, as long as, again, they just don't step on their own foot. We'll look at the points in a few moments. Believe you that, or me, or whatever the saying is. And around this time is when SVG spins. It's been a valiant effort. I'm sorry, I don't think he gets past this round. The 88 did show good top 15, top 20 speed at points today. Fell back at the start. They did get their stuff together. I am impressed with how much around of the learning curve he's around at this point. I think that they can do better. obviously. And they'll get better and improve over time. But this team is probably a year or two away from just getting by this round off of points and not just off of bonus, but just actually off of performance. But I'm impressed with how much better he's gotten. But he spun right after that. The 5 of the diffuser flap down did not help at all. Again, just about anything that could kind of go wrong for the 5 did at different points on top of getting in his own way. And then, of course, you had the Ty Dillon caution in the middle of green flag stops that shuffled everything else all back up. Around that time is when the 48, I believe, was speeding in pit road and had terrible times on pit road too. It was just rough all around for that team. They get it back going with 25 to go. The 11 gets out front of the 6 who stayed out on older tires. And, you know, the 19 took him 3 wide, but Hamlin gets by, and that was all she wrote. Win 59 on the career, I believe. I believe that puts him like, what does that put him like? I have the list. I should probably actually just look, seeing how I have the numbers. That puts him 1 behind Harvick for 10th all time. And oh boy, 4 behind Kyle Busch for 9th. So, ooh, we have some interesting conversation right here, man. We have some very interesting conversations with that. Before we get to the playoff side of it, I will talk a little more about maybe Kevin Harvick a little bit with the conversation of wins. Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin with the 59th career win does not move him anywhere on the point or on the wins list right now. Moves him up to the point side of it. Yay, good for him. 1 win away from Kevin Harvick for tying him for 10th all time. I think he gets it this year. You look at the schedule that's remaining this season, and I think it lines up great for him. Bristol next week, I think, is a great track for Denny Hamlin. New Hampshire, very similar to this in Phoenix. Great track for Denny Hamlin. Kansas, I have seen Denny Hamlin win at Kansas before. Roval, okay, I'll give you that. Probably isn't going to win that. Las Vegas, another good track, 1.5 miles. Good track, I think, for Denny Hamlin. Talladega has not been good in this car so far. I don't think it'll be there, but it's Talladega. Anything can happen. Martinsville, hometown race. Great for Denny Hamlin. Phoenix, great track for Denny Hamlin. When you're looking at the remaining races this season, there are 8 races left, I believe, in the NASCAR Cup Series season, and then we're done for 3 months. 6 of them, I think, line up great for Hamlin to get a win. There's no way there's no way I can see Denny not getting at least 1 more win in this season with how good he is. I mean, he's aging like fine wine. I think he ties Kevin Harvick this year. Now I want you to put numbers in the chat here. Where do we think Denny, like wins wise, will get up to? Not this year, just in general. Because I think something like 65 is very realistic. Because again, he's getting older. The age cliff will eventually come to roost. So let's see. He'll get to 60, 65 is where we're going. 70, I think that's aggressive, but more seasons like this, yeah. 65, 67, 65, 67, 66, 66. Oh, just 66, 64, 60, nice. 66, 65, 69. Let's see. I think a range honestly might be better. And I think 65 to probably 70, somewhere in that range. Because you got to think again, I think he'll probably get 2 more wins this year, 1 or 2 more. Let's be conservative on it and say 1. So get to 60 this year. And then when, because he's what, 44? Because I think, people are going to hate Denny and they're, and all that. He turns 45 on November 18th. Now, I don't want to be too pessimistic on the age side of it. And I don't think he's going to just be all the way at the top of the mountain and then boom, right down. I don't think he's going to go from I don't think he has some issue with concussions. I don't think he has, some lingering problems. I don't think the team is going to fall apart. Joe Gibbs Racing is an amazing team performance wise. And he's set up great. Maybe NASCAR chases him out with the whole lawsuit. I don't know. But I think, if he gets 1 more this year, I think he can get 3 the next. And then after that, maybe 2 more the rest of the way. Because again, 45-year-old driver in this day and age. I mean, I get Mark Martin raced competitively into his 50s, and then I'm not taking it away from Mark, but what I'm more saying is such a different era right now because of how close everything is. Um, the cars are so close, the data that they get to keep them close. NASCAR goes out of their way to make sure things stay close, and Denny still is succeeding. The big narrative coming into the year was he was going to fall off because of all the changes in his age and everything, and he hasn't. So on a conservative estimate, I would say probably 65 wins is very realistic. 6 wins over what, the next 3 years? I think he said like the rumor is he would retire after like 27 or 28. So maybe 6 wins even the next 2 years. Like I don't think that's, an egregious estimate. I think 65. I think he gets up to 9th all time. And the real question is, does Kyle Busch have 2 wins in him to tie him at that point? Because I do think that by the time Denny retires, he'll have more wins than Kyle Busch at this rate. He's 4 away from tying him. I think that when Denny Hamlin retires, he will be 9th all time, smack dab in the middle of Dale Earnhardt and Kyle Busch. He will be in the top 10, no problem. Again, I know fans don't like him, but you got to at least appreciate just how damn good this guy is. And it is true. I mean, he is really, really damn good. And I feel like so many people are missing out on how awesome of a driver he's been and how the longevity of his career so far. So, just enjoy him while he's here. Because at some point, people are going to look back like, man, I kind of wish we had Denny back. And who knows? Maybe I'll be completely wrong. We just watch his last win and he's going to just suck for the rest of his career. Maybe that'll happen. Now I have the poll up right now saying, is it Denny's year? 54% of y'all right now saying yes. 46% saying no. No, I don't think it is. I know I said all of that stuff gloating on him, but I don't even think it's necessarily anything having to do with Denny and his performance or choking or any of that stuff. I don't think that's the same Denny Hamlin as 2006, 2010, 2000, you name it. It solely has to do with this system. And I feel like this system will bite him in the ass as it so normally does. And it has nothing to do with Denny. And that's why I sincerely believe Denny Hamlin when he says the championship would be nice, but we're going for the wins. Yeah. Kevin Harvick goes the same way. I believe both of them. I believe in both. And maybe it is. Maybe it is. I would love to see it, not because I want Denny Hamlin to win or anything. I would love to see it because I want to see Steve Phelps and Jim France on that stage, handing the guy who's suing them and who's going to see them in court 3 weeks later or a month later, hand him the championship trophy, and then have to do their stock lines where they're like, you are a great representative of the sport and representation of what NASCAR and a champion are. Here is the Bill France trophy. I would love to see that, dude. I would have that clip saved on my phone. And again, not because I'm some big, huge Denny Hamlin fan, but just because I love when I can see executives and higher ups at NASCAR like that, when they had to kind of squirm through those things. And again, I don't think they're bad people or anything, but it'd be so damn fun. It'd be so damn fun to watch. Okay, so we got the point side of it, and Briscoe has been joined, of course, by Denny Hamlin advancing. They get wins. Kyle Larson plus 60, we talked about earlier. As long as he just does not completely shit the bed, he'll be fine. Bubba Wallace plus 50, pretty much in the same boat. I think he should be fine as well. Just run your race at Bristol and don't get collected in other people's mess. Blaney plus 42, Byron plus 39, Reddick plus 37, Bell plus 32, and Elliott plus 28. That to me is, as long as you don't get crashed on lap 1, you're in the safe zone. You're good to go, I think. Logano plus 21. I wouldn't call that the danger zone, but just more if you have an issue, your season is up for the rest of the competition to decide. And so Logano plus 21, Chastain plus 19, and Cindric plus 11. If you have any problem at any point it's up to the field and how they perform for you. I think Logano will make it through. I think, honestly, Chastain will. The 4 on the bottom, Austin Dillon, minus 11. Great season, Austin. I don't see him pulling some magic out of his ass unless the 2 or the 1 or the 22 have a major big problem. And even then, I don't know if he performs well. Shane Van Gisbergen, minus 15. I think it's been a valiant effort. But I'm pretty sure everyone, once we saw the reset and how close things were, as soon as we all saw that, I think pretty much everyone logically was like, yeah, the dream's probably over. It's probably dead, and it's just living on life support for 3 weeks. They didn't really run that well. Darlington, they had issues. They had times they ran top 20 in both races, but didn't execute. I think it's just he didn't have as much experience in these cars, in the situation, in all of that. And then you have Bristol next week, which he struggled mightily at before even having problems at Bristol in the spring. I don't see him running higher than 25th in this race. I see him going multiple laps down early. He's probably out. Great season. Play spoiler at the Roval. We'll see you next year. Alex Bowman, minus 35 and 15th. He's got to win. He's showed speed in the spring, so I won't say it's over. But again, when you have the likes of Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson that you're going to have to go through, it's going to be difficult. If he does, I will be very surprised. And then Josh Berry, minus 45, another must win. I don't see it. I don't see it. I'll be honest, all of them below the cut line, I don't see the win. I think the top 12 that we have right now is more than likely your top 12 without like a stage 1 big one that takes out some competition and sort of gift wraps spots to Austin Dillon or Shane Van Gisbergen maybe, but even then I don't think so. I think Austin Dillon's probably your only hope to actually make something different happen. And I don't see it. I just, you can let me know. I mean, what 4, let me know in the chat. What 4 do you think get eliminated at Bristol? For me, I think it's the 4 that are down there right now. I think that just, I don't think any of them can perform well enough for how far back they are. So let me know. I want to see in the chat. I'll put them on screen again. I can't see it. Yeah. You're with me. 321, 48, 88. I think so. You're right there. Playoffs should only be the top 12, to be honest. I mean, listen, here's the thing, and I'll keep popping them on as you guys put your predictions, because I know there's still the talk of qualifications, changing all that. If you have to keep it 16, I would love you to do like a 10 race chase, but if they're really set on 16, do top 10 in points and then the 6 winners that otherwise, would be outside the top 10. You still reward winning for those. And you reward it no matter what, obviously. You still reward winning, but at the same time, you also have, the best of the best still make it. And I looked at it, if those rules are in place this year, and I know they're raced differently, blah, 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 whatever. If you have that in place this year, the only change you have with the playoffs right now, and yes, that's true, Elijah, that could happen. The only change you would have in the field is a 17 a Buescher would be in instead of Austin Dillon, I believe. So, or Josh Berry, one or the other. Either way, you'd have a more competitive field. Even if you had the way it is now. Like with 3-3-3-1 or whatever it is. It would still be a more competitive field. But that's just me. I personally, like, my thing is the only thing I'd really be happy with a playoff chase would be like the playoff points you have now, leave the stage racing as it is, and just do like a 10 race chase. Have top 10, best of the best, do whatever. We'll find out. We'll find out more about that probably as the year goes on, though. It sounds like y'all are pretty much in agreement with me, I should say. At this point, it's probably going to be more than likely those 4. Unless some crazy thing happens, there could be that wreck. So fair enough. I'm right there with you. That could happen. I've seen it happen before at Bristol, but overall, kind of event. It was an it was an uneventfully eventful day or eventfully uneventful day. I don't know the right way to put it. It was just sort of a back and forth with that. I was intrigued with a lot of this race. And I think that, um, you know, there was a lot I think that was fun to take out of it, but I totally get people if they weren't into it. Totally get it. Let's go to the super chat cool down lap. How about we do that one? I see a lot of y'all still voting. A lot of y'all have left super chats in here, so I appreciate you guys waiting on me and listen to me ramble. Morgan says it's Denny time, boys. It is Denny time. LFG Denny Hamlin from Martin Ford. So we got a lot of Denny fans and Denny time. Same with SW saying it's Denny time. Bubba could have won, though. At least top 10 will do. Also, Larson, yikes. Yeah, that move was just no bueno. Solid race, 6.5 out of 10. The dirty air, as always. Yep. Did y'all see Michael Waltrip tweeting about it today? And shocker, Mikey is holding water for NASCAR. I'm so surprised that Michael Waltrip, of all people, would hold water for NASCAR. Probably some beer too. Where is it at? Because I believe I want to say, and shout out if you're watching, Elite Precision 29 quote tweeted it. Yeah, so Michael Waltrip says, if someone these days leads anything by 4 seconds, it's the car's fault. In the 90s, it was, damn, awesome Bill is good today. Talk about missing the plot. You completely missed the plot, dude. Shocker. I know. Shocker. Justin Drake says, even with this crappy one lug nut tire design doing its best to screw my guy Briscoe, he still comes home second. That team is firing on all cylinders. And after the stuff we heard this week, and I know people are going to defend him a little bit here, but just with the stuff we heard this week of how it's been like 3.5 years since we had the 19 car actually doing sim work, maybe we gave James Smalls just a little too much. Hey, I don't think it was necessarily all bad, but maybe, like all on Truex and all, him that was the bad part. But maybe just maybe it was a little more the driver than we kind of gave credit for. I'm just saying. This team, I think, is hitting its potential at the end of the year. Z06 Paul said, and I'm probably very happy as well, saying, what happened to Logano at the end? He went from contending for the win to almost falling out of the top 5. I might have been tired. I'm not sure if it was tires or whatnot. But I think a lot of it, too, had to be the fact that, the 11, the 19, the 9 were pretty fast. Blaney was coming on up there, and the 42 was pretty strong, too. Which is crazy to say. Legacy Motor Club cars are week in, week out now, bringing 1 to 2 competitively good and solid cars. Dakota saying, crazy how the 9 changes spotters and runs up front. I don't think it was the spotter that was the problem the whole time, but it was, we can have conspiracies. Still, it was good to see that kind of speed out of him at a track that, let's be honest, that team has been just out to lunch on for 3 years. Max saying 6.5 out of 10 race. Kyle Larson definitely could have had a better finish. Cautions ruined that. Also, why the F did he just ship Blaney? As Twisted Toe says, all this for a goddamn Hamlin win. He definitely could have had a better finish. I think that the speed, though, is something really good to look at, especially when you look compared to Phoenix and New Hampshire coming up. Those are very important and very similar. As for Denny Hamlin, though, I enjoy it just because it puts NASCAR in a pickle. Thank you, GD Shark, for becoming a new member. I appreciate it. Roman numeral 3, if I can speak, saying, seriously, can Barry? He's not great. Yeah, but to be fair, I think the 9 got into him. So I don't think that was necessarily all on Barry, but I didn't think he was going to make it past this round, even without the Rex. The Rex just sort of like sealed it. Planet X saying that best NASCAR coverage, better than any network TV by far. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you. I think Prime does better than me, but I appreciate it. I mean, I like that my bar is at least I can be more entertaining and fun to talk with and a place to hang out than Fox. So Justin Drake says the Hendrick strategy today. Since we suck, let's send our cars 20 car lengths deep into a corner. We were nowhere near making on a pass and dump our playoff competition. I don't think it was bad. I think it was just a dumb move. I don't think that he was horrible today. I think Larson actually might have had the fastest or one of the fastest cars today. But Larson, again, just his greatest strength is also his greatest weakness, and that is his aggression. I think he overdid it. You could see him sliding it before he got to Blaney. I think he just overcooked it. GD Shark saying, I don't know what to say. I'm just in a good mood. Denny won. Well, good. Be in a good mood. Don't let anyone get on you about it. Be in a good mood. If your driver, I wish my driver still raced so I could experience him winning, because it made my week and sometimes my month. Like when Junior won what turned out to be his last points win, that carried me through the off season. 2015 and 2016, I was on cloud 9 up and until they got to the clash and the duels and all that. So I feel good for y'all. I don't take it, I don't want people taking it out on fans, because it makes your week, man. Never know what people are going through. Always love seeing when your driver wins. Brandon saying another could have, would have, should have for Bubba Wallace. He will conquer Bristol next weekend, or will he conquer Bristol next weekend? I don't think so, but I think he can get a good top 10 out of it. Keep in mind, he finished third last year in the fall race. I can picture him and Larson battling at the end. I mean, maybe. I don't think he will win. But again, top 10, top 5, that team's doing well. Just keep the momentum going. Jeffrey King says Elliott plus 28-ish is and now has a chance to manage. Yeah, he'll make it through. I honestly think he'll make a round of 8. No. Kelly with the 48-11 saying, I appreciate your breakdowns of every race so much. Hating life for my 48 team. Hoping it's finally Hamlin's year, though. Got to meet him and Joe Gibbs a few weeks ago at the Progressive HQ. Total class acts. So let me answer and talk about each part. I appreciate that you and so many others appreciate when we go through these and talk about these. I love hanging out with y'all on it too. Doesn't matter if it's, 500 some watching, if it's 1 watching, if it's 2,000 watching. It's always fun hanging out with NASCAR fans, like-minded people. And I appreciate your comments and everyone else that's left some, whether super chat or not. Hating life for the 48, totally get it. I think it's, he's going to be on probably a pretty hot seat for the rest of this year and next year. Just because I think the free agency market next year is very, very deep. And if he does not perform, he's not going to win to end off this year, does not win early on next year, it could be very difficult for a lot of Bowman fans. There are going to be some difficult conversations between him and Mr. H. On the other end too, though, hoping it's finally Hamlin's year. Got to meet him and Joe Gibbs. I've met both of them multiple times. And I agree. They're totally awesome people. And I've met Denny early in his career, middle of his career, late in his career, got to interview him as media. He's always been a great guy to me. I know he gets hate, and I know a lot of it, just because of all the stuff in his career and how he can, react and talk and all that. But I do really like both those guys as people. I think they're good people too. So, and Progressive HQ. So I'm assuming you work at Progressive. Either way, awesome that you got to meet him, and it was a good experience. Wizard King Nick, Bubba has surprised me so far these playoffs. I thought he'd be pretty good or decent. I have to admit, the last 2 weeks I've been surprised, though, just how good the 23 team has been. JJTN52 says, greatest driver in the world, my ass. I knew that was going to pop up, man. I knew it was. Keep having those kind of deals as a driver, and those things will always bite you in the ass, even though they're not the exact quotes. Everyone's going to run with it, and I can't say I blame people. Bite Speed says, Kyle Larson is starting to become one of the most unlikable drivers in the whole series, and it's 100% warranted. Even F1 and IndyCar fans despise him. I will say, because he's still going to be very popular. He has a big fan base, Hendrick fan base, just pure racer fan base. When it comes to people not liking him, I have noticed more people disliking Kyle Larson, and I get it. When he's not performing at the top level he can and winning races or competing for wins and all that, and making major mistakes, getting other people collected in those mistakes. Yeah, I totally get it. And I think everything that is the narrative and everything that people are disliking right now or criticizing, I think sparks off from that failed double attempt earlier this year. And I don't think it's necessarily all fair. I think a lot of it can be, but I don't blame people either. Jeffrey King saying Larson 2025, 3 wins before a halfway point. Jimmy Johnson 2017, 3 wins before halfway. It's ironically similar, but not for the same reasons. And I know we're just kind of being a little, tongue in cheek with it. But it is similar. I'm surprised that the winless streak has been this long, and it's amazing that this is like considered like, oh man, what's going on with Kyle? Like, as a Dale Jr. fan, there were multiple over 36 race long winless streaks in his career, and it was just sort of status quo. And for Larson, it's been what, 15, 17, 20, whatever it's been. It's just kind of crazy, Paradox saying, are we really going to ignore all the times Kyle Larson has forced drivers up the racetrack into the wall? He's a guy that will take away the racetrack. Yeah, he's done that before. Yeah. And again, that's the double-edged sword. That aggression's really good when you do that and you get away with it and you end up winning. When you end up crashing people, that's when the rightful criticism comes in. He's a great driver. And I know it's going to seem like I'm piling on him, and by reading these super chats and everyone's going to pile on him and all that. He's a great driver. It's just that a lot of times, he just, when you live on the razor's edge, you get cut sometimes. Denver saying Austin Cindric competing supercars later. So that's right. I did see that. That's really cool. And I think he'll do pretty decent. I think he will. I saw a lot of people. I'd heard something a little bit about that, but like I didn't know if there was anything really specific about it. But I'm very interested in that. I'm very, very interested. Austin saying, my bad, bro. Didn't watch today. Was busy. Totally get it. I get it. NASCAR should not be the center of anyone's world for the most part. There's other things that happen in life. It's a long ass schedule. Much love, Jarrett. Appreciate the coverage as always. Catching up with the finishing order is the 9 back. I don't know about the 9 being like back if we're talking like, middle of 22 on back. But I would say like they were able to, I think, capitalize today and run good enough. I want to see how they run at Bristol, and I want to see how they run in the 3 tracks in the round of 12. So because I think there's still going to be the talk, rightful so, of well, they're not super elite, but I guess what I kind of have been forwarding a lot of this year is I don't really think they've been that gone to begin with. They've just been really consistent. And nowadays we just don't highlight consistency as much. Justin saying the Dillon brothers incident is perfect to show the casual viewers which Dillon gets diamond spoon treatment, can do no wrong from Pop, and which brother has actual talent, but Dick Childress ignores like the plague. Well, from what I know, at least what I've kind of heard is that like Ty Dillon doesn't want to be given all the RCR stuff. And even though then Kaulig, I think, is powered by RCR. Whereas Austin Dillon is more like wanting to stay in house with it. But yeah, I have to admit, I thought it was pretty funny. Young Money says Gen 7 sucks. Gateway should never be back in the playoffs, and Goodyear tires are crap. Also another snooze fest race. I get hate in the Gen 7. I've been very critical of the Gen 7. I don't think Gateway is necessarily a bad track. I don't think Goodyear tires is. I think Goodyear tires is what's been salvaging a lot of this season, and I don't think it was necessarily that much of a snooze fest. Austin saying, I know it's popular to hate on Fox NASCAR coverage, and we should. However, NBC and USA deserves more hate. You can tell NBC doesn't care. They just don't bring anyone to the track anymore. Plus, they're all on USA. I think there's more criticism to give NBC USA this year. I think like they had like the pre-race show for the first 20 minutes today in like sepia tone. It was kind of weird. As for like as much hate, I don't think so. They still there's definitely a smaller crew, but it's not like it's remote broadcasts like CW or a lot of others where it's just like everyone is back home except for like one pit reporter. I think that they deserve a little more criticism this year. I don't think they deserve more hate than Fox though. That's just me. Justin saying, I remind you, nothing was on NBC, and yet they still feel the need to push the race to USA. Plus, last week they put American Ninja Warrior on NBC and pushed the Southern 500 on USA. So that's the big thing. I think a lot of fans need to understand this about the USA side of it, because I hate it. I hate it too. I think they should all be on NBC. The thing is that they put NASCAR on USA Network and on FS1 and on TNT, these cable networks, and to a degree Prime, not because they're trying to grow the sport. Like let's be abundantly clear, especially what we've seen from Fox. We know Fox doesn't give a damn about NASCAR. Honestly, outside of 5 weeks of the year, TNT didn't give a damn about NASCAR, and even then it was half-assed. And NBC, at the end of the day, does not give a damn about the average race fan. What they care about is the fact that NASCAR, even with a smaller audience, has a very diehard group of race fans who will watch every race. Doesn't matter if we hate the championship, doesn't matter if we hate the car, doesn't matter of any of that. Even with the ratings being down, it is a diehard group of fans that will show up every single week. 1.5 to 2 million people at minimum will watch a NASCAR Cup Series race. They know that, so they put them all on USA Network and FS1 and TNT and Prime again to grow their bases, to keep their dying cable, and for the cable side, to keep their dying cable channels afloat. That's why it's there. They paid that much money. They did not overpay, because let's be honest, they overpaid for NASCAR. They did not overpay for NASCAR because they love racing. They overpaid for NASCAR because it's the only way people will keep cable, because cable freaking sucks. It does. And let's be completely honest too. I can go on Twitch or TikTok and watch some like half-assing content creators put their face over it for the most part, but then see 90% of the race on there. Like if I really, really wanted to just go around, I can sail the 7 seas. If you think of it from the business side of it, that's exactly why it's there. I agree with you, but they don't care. They don't care. An American Ninja Warrior and AFV get as many or more viewers as NASCAR does anyway. So like, why would they care? They're getting the same viewership either way. It's a ramble thing, but it's like something I think that fans kind of need to address or look at or understand. And it's not like I'm mad at you, and I'm not mad at anyone for saying it. It's just more, I see it. Even if I don't acknowledge it every time, I agree with you. It should be on NBC and Big Fox. But NASCAR took the money, and the networks, well, they own them. They do. Jason says 2 weeks in a row, Bowman's crew screws him. Between that and speeding, yeah. Justin says, it's funny how NBC wants playoffs, and yet they do everything to not show the playoffs. 3 playoff races on NBC, the rest on USA. Again, same thing I was saying before, right there with you. Totally agree. It is amazing. We're going to put it on a 3rd-tier network, but we totally want them because we understand race fans. Austin says, I want Denny to win the title so the world can burn. That you and me are right there. Like, I got the match ready. I just want the gasoline there to set it off. Justin Drake says, so after 2 races into these playoffs for the first time in the next gen era, do we dare say it's Toyota's year? Because Hamlin, Briscoe, and Bubba, you could consider to include Bell, have all shown up in dominant fashion. Especially with the way that Phoenix is. As long as I survive Talladega, yes. I think they're the favorites. I think the only one that I can see as somebody with speed, enough speed to contend with them right now is Ryan Blaney. And I can't trust that team to stay consistently on the racetrack. Young Money says, we've heard the same thing for the last 18 years. Denny is literally NASCAR's version of the Dallas Cowboys. Except Denny's made the championship race in the last 30-some years. Now he's made the semifinals in the last 30-some years. I can't say much as a Vikings fan, but at least we made it to the championship game since the Cowboys have last been there. Palm Tree saying, me and my new SVG shirt are devastated. Fighting for stage points in stage 1 was so promising. Also wish Blaney would push someone back for once. I think that's going to come eventually. Blaney, to me, is a nice mix of like a lot of those older school 2000s drivers. And I think there's going to become a point, because he gets so mad on the radio, but he never lets it carry over. I think there's going to be a point he has a Matt Kenseth 2015 where he just says, F it. We ball. Let's just nail someone. I think that's going to happen. Joshua Boston saying another bad race for Larson. Again, if that 5 team doesn't get the ship righted soon, they're going to be as bad as Terry Labonte was in the 2000. No, they're not. Again, this is like, this shows how good the 5 teams been. Like, they're mortal this year. Like they look like so many other teams have this year, guys. Do not jump the shark. They're not going to be somebody who is ready to retire level bad anytime soon. Jason, diehard Hendrick fan since 95. Larson isn't like there is a reason Ally chose Bowman for the 48. Bowman gets re-signed and Blake Harris fired soon. Again, I think the sponsor definitely helps. The sponsor likes Alex Bowman. But sponsors can be carried over. And I think, let's be honest, I think there is a really big 2020 elephant in the room that has kept a lot of sponsors away from Kyle Larson. And I think that's going to weigh over, because no matter what brand associates yourself with Larson, as far as he gets away and as much as he wins, they can always look back and go, you support the driver that said this, and put up a 10-second clip. I still think it carries over. Corporate America does not want social media digging stuff up and connecting them to any controversy these days. They couldn't hear him. Yeah, they couldn't hear him. Joshua says, Larson is a great driver, no question, and that's why I've been upset with the lack of results since the 600, but maybe I'll see him win in person in Kansas this year. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I think he'll contend there. And yes, good point. Bill Davis did pass away today, former NASCAR team owner. It sucks. I saw that right as the race was starting, and had a lot of success. Could have had more, as he's so often brought up, and he made, he was, what I appreciate about Bill Davis is that he was at least vocal about what he disagreed with in the industry and the way things went down. Even if I disagreed with him on those, I still like that he was willing to go out there and say what was probably pretty unpopular to say. Plus, he had some of the most iconic cars in the history of NASCAR out there, with some great drivers, great moments, Daytona 500 champion. So it is too bad still, though, to see that. I believe I have a Bill Davis Racing diecast around here somewhere. It's my old Bill Lester car. JJ TN52 says, I'm going to call you JJ. That's okay. I've hated Larson since he took a win away from Blaney while 160 laps down. Yeah, I'd hate a driver doing that to mine too. Creston says, was it just me or did my screen go black at the finish? At least they didn't miss the backstretch explosions. I like that they saw that. It wasn't just you. I know the conspiracy theorists about like, oh, it was Denny winning. It wasn't that. I'm going to be real. It's probably the track. The connection at the track sucks. I've been there before. I was there during the blackout in like 24 or 23, whenever the hell that was. For a place called Worldwide Technology Racing Raceway, they don't have very good technology, and it is not worldwide level. Young Money says, I thought the reason NASCAR moved races over to USA was because of the Olympics a few years ago. I mean, they moved them at times there. The reason they moved to USA was because NBC Sports Network went under, which is funny because now it sounds like they're bringing back an NBC Sports Network. They're over at USA because they want to save their cable packages. A lot of these I mean, if you notice, a lot of cable channels are dying or being offshot and offloaded. USA Network is actually being offloaded, I believe, from Comcast parent company. So it's going to be interesting to see if at some point maybe they do move them to USA, from USA to NBC. Maybe they move them from USA Network to Peacock. I would hate that. I think that's even worse. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next coming years we have 2 or 3 more on NBC and Fox each. at some point. NBC, because a lot of these cable channels are dying. Fox, because they probably would use it to promote IndyCar. Let's be real. They probably use it as a lead into IndyCar because that's their golden goose and their baby right now. They literally bought into the sport. I would not be surprised if they constantly use NASCAR more and more. NASCAR would benefit from it, but they would probably use it just as a lead in to get a bigger audience, which I don't blame them. That's good business. Fred Dog says, why does Hamlin insist on fans hating him? I feel he's going to regret it when he's done racing and doesn't get the love guys like Harvick or Stewart, who also weren't always beloved, got in the end. I think it's just, that's Denny. He's got a chip on his shoulder, partially. I think he's playing a character too. The guy that's getting punched in the face right there in your profile pic, Kyle Busch, he's totally been playing a character for a lot of his career, and people just, they bite into it. They love it. And that people love to hate Denny, and he's going to play into it. So that's why. Two more. Brandon for the 7 Canadian says, nah, Denny Hamlin is the Buffalo Bills Mark Martin of NASCAR. I always thought Denny was like the Vikings of NASCAR, right? Like, he's always good enough to be there. Always is. I mean, if you look in the Vikings history, every decade they have teams that are good enough to be there, and then they manage to somehow piss it all away, or something gets, happens that stops them. That's Denny Hamlin. Like, I think that's Denny Hamlin for you. Justin says, like Bowman at Hendrick, how much longer does Cinderella have at Penske? No championship appearances in the same span. His teammates have each won the championship at least once in Logano's case. Has he even seen the round of 8? I thought he did a few years ago. But definitely without his dad in that higher position, if he doesn't perform, yeah, I could totally see them moving on from him. That 2 car is their main team. That is their biggest brand. And I think it matters to Roger Penske to see that 2 car run well. And that two car, outside of maybe 10 races max a year, never runs well. And a lot of them are Atlanta, but you can get plenty of guys that can take a good super speedway car at Atlanta and run up front. It's the other races that they're going to probably want that car and team to run well with. Young Money with the 5 says, I admit I dislike Hamlin, but he is great at driving, or he's a great driver. Yeah, totally fair. Totally fair. There's plenty of drivers I hated in their career, but I absolutely thought they were great drivers. Especially as an Earnhardt fan, trust me, there were plenty of drivers that I didn't like, because Earnhardt fans were a very ornery bunch, to say the least. Well, thank you guys so much for coming out. We will be live on Eric's channel for NWP on Wednesday, videos through the week, and of course, Thursday through Saturday, Bristol, baby. Maybe at least one of those races will be good. And I think we're like still less than 300 away from 90,000 subscribers. So if you're new, be sure to subscribe. I love having so many of y'all come and hang out. And maybe we'll hit it. Maybe we'll hit it pretty soon. Should be a lot of fun stuff coming up. Thank you guys so much for coming out. I appreciate you all, and you all have a great Sunday night. Have a great week as well. Later.